And we have to compare him to Benjamin Sesko. They both came in at the same time, different ages, of course, and different profiles. How was he today?
Yeah, I'm no further forward with him in respect to the jury's out. I think he's well off it compared to the other signings that United have made up front in Cunha and Mbeumo. He looks awkward. He had a couple of really good opportunities in the first half where balls just got played over and his touch wasn't right. And, yeah, I think for £80 million, I mean, you can say he's young, he's got a lot of potential, he's only settling in, but you still want to see a little bit more.
What's wrong with Gary Neville? What is wrong with Gary Neville? Genuine question. What is wrong with Gary Neville? Welcome back to Killing the Game. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribing. Bell notifications. Hype. Get it all done, please. Lots to go through on this afternoon's show. We're asking what's wrong with Gary Neville. Also looking at Arsenal rattling everybody again. I've never seen so many tears. I've never seen so much anger. I've never seen so much fear. They are scared of Arsenal. They are. That's it. That's the end of the sentence. They are scared of Arsenal. Plus, we're looking at some real funny bits to do with Tottenham. And Tottenham, they keep getting broken by Arsenal as well. We're going to look at that. But also Newcastle fans getting humbled as well. So stay with us for Killing the Game. But Gary Neville, I've got to start with Gary Neville. I'm so annoyed with him. I'm so annoyed. This isn't being impartial. This isn't being unbiased. This is being wrong. Wrong in this moment. Benjamin Sesko did have a bad game this weekend. But he was saying this last week, that he doesn't look on the same wavelength as Cunha, as in Mbeumo. When last week, when he came on, his hold-up play was excellent. His interplay was great. His approach play was very good. The touch, the turn, the pass to set up our third goal was absolutely brilliant. In the previous two games that he started for United, scoring goals, hold-up play very good. Even at Brentford away, where United weren't particularly great as a unit, he played well. At home to Sunderland, absolutely brilliant. And he's doing things in tight spaces with the ball that Rasmus Højlund could never do. But there's this narrative that's been created that United would have been much better off having not signed Sesko, keeping Højlund and buying a midfield player. And I reject this wholeheartedly. There would still be holes in our squad, would still not be complete. All that would happen is the focus would shift from here to there. And this is all that's going to keep happening with Man United from a squad perspective until it's completely built, until it's a very good squad. And that is going to take a number of summers to do. But Gary Neville here, I understand there's applying pressure, and United players to succeed have got to be able to handle pressure. But you increase that pressure almost exponentially over time. Sesko has come in with no preseason. Sesko has come in, and yes, he has 11 appearances to his name, but a lot of them have been short stints off the bench as a substitute, as opposed to starting all those games. And he's probably dropped his first bad game. His first bad game in the Premier League, and everyone's going in on him. And I just don't like it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. The same man, Gary Neville, all summer, and then early parts of the season is telling people to stay relaxed with Wirtz, relax with Alexander Isak, stay relaxed with Gyökeres at Arsenal, and rightfully so. Comes to his own team, bang, wants to shit on him straight away. Even the quote around the transfer fee was wrong. He wasn't £80 million. It goes up to around 73, including add-ons. The base was 66 million. So it's even adding the better part of £20 million onto the transfer fee. What's wrong with him? I don't get why you would do that to a young player that's joined Man United. Fair enough if you're like that with every player at all clubs, but it seems to be just with Man United players right now. Gary Neville has got this bee in his bonnet, and I don't understand why. For me, look, Sesko didn't have a good game. He should be criticised. I did. But what this young player needs at United is support. He needs the fan base behind him. He needs us to not overly get on his back. And in his previous 3 starts prior to this bad game, the guy got a couple of goals and an assist, and people are talking about him having a barren start like Rasmus. It just isn't true. It just isn't true. The only criticism I'd probably give of the whole Sesko scenario is we all wanted it done in the early part of pre-season. So he came in fit, ready, and raring to go. For me, this is disgraceful from Gary Neville. Can't lie. Killing the game.
Has the Premier League become a bit boring with less
I love this.
than a quarter of the season play? There have been already more long throws, 359, at an average of 4 per game, than the whole of the 2020-21 campaign. We are seeing less football, according to Opta, an average of 45 minutes and 31 seconds is spent waiting for the ball to come into play this season. That is, by the way, an absolute disgrace.
It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
An average of 45 minutes is spent. I mean, I'm sorry. In a game of football which is 90 minutes long, that cannot be acceptable. And also this season in the Championship, about 100 fewer passes are being played per game than in previous seasons, and a drop is mirrored in League One, in League Two. Maybe that's perhaps an end of Pep-style possession football, which was kind of filtering through all the football pyramid.
Which was also getting called boring, which was also getting criticised every single week, which was also getting ripped into. I mean, this weekend alone, how many people criticised Villa for trying to play out from the back against that Liverpool press at Anfield? Football goes in cycles. But we'll get to the real nub of this in a moment.
What have you made, Scott, in terms of the style of football and what have you witnessed this season? Do you like the change?
In terms of what I consider boring, I call Pep ball boring. I think that's boring. If I had to watch Liverpool and Man City at their pomp, Liverpool and the style they played with the aggression, the intensity of it, back to front, I would pick that style like every single day of the week. What I think with this is, it's massively different. I don't think it's boring because it's leveled out the playing field. If you look at the table now, between second place and 13th, 6 points gap. That, like, things can change really quick. I think what we like about the Premier League is...
And that actually changed from when this was recorded. I think the gap now is even closer. So in terms of excitement, maybe the games for some people, the style of football clubs are playing doesn't suit their personal wants, but that's never been what football's about. Actually, between second place on 19 points and you go down to 13th, it's actually slightly more now. 13th is 12, so there's a 7-point gap now. But what I was looking at was second place down to Man United, in 8th place, are separated by 2 points. I think that is exciting. Every single win, every single draw, every single defeat can change your position in the league dramatically. You could literally... Liverpool beat Man City this weekend. They dropped down to third automatically because Liverpool would go ahead of them by 2 points. But if Bournemouth beat Aston Villa, if one of Man United or Spurs win, if Chelsea beat Wolves and Sunderland beat Everton, Man City could see themselves 7th. They could see themselves 7th in the league. And I know it may not, but I hope that continues until the end of the season. Imagine every game week is that dramatic. Isn't the league position what we're actually all about? You may see it differently. Let me know.
The fact that teams from, who are at the bottom of the league, Sunderland can go to France and pick up a player for 30 odd million quid or something like that. Really high rated player. And exactly. And that, I think there's a lot of teams in the middle who are as good as each other. This, if anything, this is a way to level out the playing field a bit more. And that's why I think it's more exciting, because who would have thought, like a few weeks ago, Liverpool would be down in 6th place? Who would have thought that Sunderland would be up where they are, and Bournemouth as well?
No, I agree. But also what's happening is teams are playing front to back football very quickly, which is exciting. The difference is lots of teams now have got big, strong, powerful squads who are able to sit in and absorb so they can't be sprung on. And then they're trying to spring on the opponents. There's a lot of counter punching going on in football right now. And maybe this is where my bias comes in. I like direct football. I like transition football. I like that element of a team attacks, gets caught out, and the other team goes up the other end and scores. I prefer that to a team pinning a side back. As much as it's nice when your team's pinning a team back and you're under no pressure if you score a few goals, I used to love, as a United fan, at our pomp, games where teams were having a go at us, we'd nick the ball off them, counter, bang, score quick. Some of those counter-attack goals we scored against Arsenal in our pomp, some of my favourite memories in football. But that's a preference thing. That all being said, let's take a look at the real motivation here.
But it's also not just the kind of lower teams, obviously Arsenal's, as we all know, have had great success.
Straight away, it's not just the lower teams, but it's Arsenal here. Remember, TalkSport have been pushing this narrative for weeks that Arsenal are taking football backwards. Arsenal are the reason that teams have become more direct. Arsenal are the reason that teams are working on their set pieces, when in fact it isn't. Arsenal have reacted to what they saw the mid teams and the mid-table teams and the smaller teams doing, the lower down the table teams doing, to ensure that they were better than them at that, so they could pick up points in these really hard games.
Season. And I had Jeff Stelling, I'm not sure if you saw the clip doing the rounds on social media. I'm going to paraphrase here, but it was basically almost like, come on Arsenal, you're the best team in the league, you need to score more goals and play better football.
Arsenal having to play better football. They do play good football. If you watch their second goal against Burnley, that's a standout point. But I made a list here of games. I actually wrote this down, a list of games in the last couple of weeks that I've watched that was so entertaining, that was so brilliant, that we're making this arbitrary, is arbitrary the right word? I don't know, but this banal, most certainly, claim that football's getting more boring. Let me read these games out to you, just from this weekend alone backwards. City versus Bournemouth, I thought was an excellent game of football. City played brilliantly. Bournemouth were in the games at times. End-to-end moments, excellent. There was West Ham Newcastle. I enjoyed that game. Liverpool Villa was excellent. United Brighton, Villa versus City, Wolves Burnley. How were you not entertained watching that game? I watched the extended highlights back. Excellent. Yes, some direct football. Yes, some set pieces, but some really good intricate play as well. Palace versus Bournemouth. For me, the 3-3 is probably the game of the season so far for every element that you could imagine in the game. Brighton Newcastle, Liverpool Man United. That's just in the last few weeks. The idea that football's dying, no. You're just frustrated that Arsenal are doing well, Arsenal are scoring set pieces, and you're trying to find a way to diminish the league. It's so transparent, it's so see-through, and there's so much of it. Take a look here.
Pieces. First for penalty goals.
Joint first.
First for goals percentage from set pieces with 56. And for open play goals, they rank 17th in the league.
Now
so
15th.
Round of applause for our Premier League champions. The most boring champions in the world.
Stoke City, Arsenal.
Steve Bruce, you were right. You could have managed Arsenal to a trophy. You should have took over Man United. You were right. That is all Arteta is. He's a glorified Steve Bruce, Tony Pulis.
You're looking for a nibble, but...
Oh, yeah, Is he not? He is Tony Pulis.
It must rattle you so much to see this every week.
Wait a second. Don't be disrespectful to Tony Pulis. He invented the long throws that use
By the way, they're fucking back.
Yeah.
They're actually back, mate.
Mate, using Tony Pulis's blueprint to win the Premier League. Well done.
We don't even use long throws, though, really. We use
big shithouse defenders and set corners and set pieces.
Play to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, you will go down as the most boring champions of all time.
All right, Lewis.
And that's all this is. I'm telling you now, from a fan perspective, the mainstream media picks up on it because the mainstream media would die if they didn't copy fan channels. This is it. That's it. And look, I'm not even against fan channels making this content. I'll react to it. I'll talk to it. I don't typically do it like the channel does. People come on my channel and speak like this because we don't control what people say in that regard. I don't do it mainly because I'm just not going to join in with everybody else and be a sheep. I look at things a little differently. I always have done my whole life. That's just me. But what I find funny about this claim, my guy here is a Newcastle fan. Do you know Newcastle have only scored the same amount of open play goals as Arsenal? And this is the craziest part about it. They've scored 3 from set pieces compared to Arsenal's 10. And do you know what I find brilliant about this? I don't think Newcastle have been that bad this season. I'm going to say it to you bluntly. I don't think Newcastle have been that bad a team. I don't. I think they've played okay in a lot of their games, barring the West Ham one. But they're 13th in the league, and they are 13 points off the summit. They are 13th in the league, Newcastle, and they are 13 points off the summit in a season where they were looking to progress further. They've actually bought some pretty decent players. They spent a lot of money in the summer. They wanted to go to another level. 13 points off the top. 10 games into the season. If that repeats itself for the rest of the campaign, that is a grossly disappointing campaign. And the difference between them and Arsenal, I actually think Arsenal played better football than them. If Newcastle were as good at set pieces as Arsenal were, they could be in and around the title race. And there's no Newcastle fan can tell me they'd rather be where they are in the league, right, or where Arsenal are. The bitterness is absolutely crazy.
The most boring club in the history of clubs. The most boring club. Arsenal versus Crystal Palace.
Go.
First of all, you can't expect a team to be on form every game.
Yeah, 100%.
So what we did to Atletico Madrid in the midweek, it's like you're disregarding that completely.
of course, I'm talking about the Premier
One of the
League.
best teams in Europe came to the Emirates and got the spanking of their life.
True.
And went back 4-0. So then if we have a dip in form coming off of that big high and still manage to get the result, as an Arsenal fan, I'm happy with that. We stopped them from scoring and we scored our goal. We will take that any day of the week.
Let's let him finish.
Actually fell asleep at halftime. I'm not even joking. It's not even a joke.
But this is the maddest bit, right? Maybe you did fall asleep. But the reason that you're finding Arsenal games boring is the same reason that my brothers, when I was a kid living together, my friends, do you watch United game? Yeah, first 20 minutes, fell asleep. Why? Because you just won the game and you weren't at threat and nothing great was happening. Arsenal used to be so entertaining. They did play beautiful football in the early Wenger era. The reason Arsenal became so entertaining, and this is why I believe the media and fans have been so butthurt, so scared, so upset by Arsenal in the past 5 years, is that they're starting to see an Arsenal maturing and growing up. An Arsenal maturing and growing up and being able to keep teams out, score enough goals to win, barely concede chances and opportunities. It takes away that fun you had. It isn't the fun of the game you're missing. It's being able to rip into Arsenal. But overall, I don't think the Premier League has got more boring. I don't think the Premier League has gone backwards. I think the Premier League is as exciting, as nail-biting, as up and down as it has ever been. And I don't judge it based on my favorite style of football being played in the league or not. I think that's a ridiculous way of looking at football personally. It's about the journey of the season, and there is no more enthralling top league than the Premier League. There's no that. In fairness, France has got the beginning of what could be a decent race this year, and I think there's also there's a little bit of that going on in Italy as well, and I hope that continues because the fans of those countries will start to see it. Yeah, you got very good at the minute. I was looking at the league table in France. Paris Saint-Germain still top, though, on 24 points. You go right down to Lyon in 6th place on 20 points, which is very, very good indeed. However, all the teams below Paris Saint-Germain have lost at least 3 each, where Paris Saint-Germain have lost only 1. They're still probably going to end up running away with the league. But this is what we want to see, more competitiveness. At least what they have got this year is like a fight for those Champions League spots, and Champions League spots are important. Why? Because the more you're in it, the more money you make, the better the squad can be, the more chance you've got of winning other major trophies, not celebrating being in that tournament. And more importantly, the chance to win it. I think pushing back against that is nothing short of killing the game. Now, I saw this tweet and it killed me. I saw this. This is the original tweet. Actually, no. It's not I'll show you the quote tweet. This is what I saw. It says, "How can a fucking sausage be upside down?" I don't quite get that. It must be a northern thing. But it was a Sunderland fan quote tweeting a Newcastle fan who earlier on in the season, now everyone goes, "Terry, you don't like banter." This is proper banter. He waited and waited, didn't overreact to that. This is what people do with banter. They got to react now. I've got to clap back straight away. No, let it brew, let it cook. Slow down, dear. Right? Puts out the scoreline. It's amazing, but it goes back to an original tweet saying that performance has put the Premier League teams on notice. We are not a team to be taken lightly. I am buzzing with this team. And obviously a Newcastle fan responded to the Sunderland fan with, "It's West Ham, you massive sausage." And obviously you fast forward to now and you look at the league table and Sunderland doing brilliantly well to be sitting 7th. They play tonight. They haven't played yet. They win tonight. They could actually go up to 2nd in the league. And if they win tonight, they will be 8 points clear of Newcastle 10 games into the season. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, you don't always react too quickly. You let things cook a little bit. That being said, letting things cook. I saw this stat, and sometimes I've been thinking a lot in the last few days, the arms on my chair moved, about why Spurs fans are so angry this season. And I think they're right to criticize bad performances of players and things that Frank has got wrong. But there seems a lot more at play. And you don't understand what you don't know, but your job is to seek information. And a few things stood out to me. One, Arsenal top of the league, Arsenal cruising, Arsenal killing it, Arsenal in a very strong and dominant position. will always trigger Tottenham fans. They'll never not be triggered by what Arsenal do. I think finishing ahead of Arsenal is more important to Spurs than anything else. And then I saw this stat, and I thought, no wonder they're angry. This stat, listen, Arsenal. I once played down how much more successful Arsenal were than Tottenham because I didn't understand it. And running this channel and talking to so many fans from so many clubs has helped me greatly. But this statistic is crazy. Since the Emirates was opened in 2006, Arsenal have only lost 48 Premier League games there in nearly 20 years. Since 2019, Tottenham Hotspur have lost 41 Premier League games at home. They've only won 3 of their last 19. No wonder Spurs fans are losing their mind this year. They win that trophy. They get back into the Champions League. They bring in Thomas Frank, and there's this sign of hope. And there Arsenal are, top of the league, not conceding goals, cruising while they're spluttering and muttering, can barely win at home. I get it. Listen, Tottenham fans, I get your pain. I respect it. Please don't beat Man United this weekend, though. Let's add to it. Let's add to the frustration. It's fun. But listen, until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we're going to see you all again very, very soon. Peace.